Let's be frank. Everybody's backpedaling now. Everybody wants Miami of Ohio in the tournament. We backed up Bruce Pearl. Yesterday, I backed up Dan Dockich. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Dan Dockich came at me on Twitter. Maybe I came at him first. So I was trying to be good-natured. He took it very seriously. Everybody's upset or defensive. All the people that took a dump on Miami of Ohio the last 2, 3, 4 weeks of the season, they got what they wanted yesterday. My man Frank Martin, that's where we started. Let's Be Frank, who's going to be on the show here. Give me about 5 minutes. We'll have Frank on the show today. UMass pulled off the upset of Miami. But now everybody's backpedaling. Everybody's backpedaling. And you know why they're backpedaling? Because Frank Martin called them out about this rigged NCAA tournament. And we'll get into it when he gets here in a few minutes. But he called them out after beating Miami in the defense that Frank Martin put on of Miami and calling out a rigged system that favors the elite power schools and punishes the mid-majors. Everything about this NCAA tournament selection process, it's all rigged to destroy the little guy and build up the big guy. It's reflective of an overall American culture that is doing everything it can to hurt the little guy, to silence the voice of the fans. Everything is about the elites. Everything is about idolatry, and I'm going to get into that today with TJ Moe and Dre Baldwin. It's going to be an excellent show. Frank Martin's going to come on. Of course, it's Friday. That means Coach JB, Jason Brown, will be here. I got a hell of a conversation I'm going to have with TJ Moe and Dre Baldwin about idolatry and just how pervasive it is. I'm going to connect it to Shedeur Sanders. But I just wanted to start off showing you everybody backpedaling because we are winning the argument, crushing the argument. Miami loses, and everybody starts backpedaling, including Bruce Pearl. Play the clip.
Miami, Ohio, here's the deal. Are we going to select the 68 most deserving teams, or are we going to select the 68 best teams? If we're selecting the 68 best teams, then Miami, Ohio is going to have to win their tournament to qualify as a champion. Because as an at-large, they are not one of the best teams in the country. And that's going to be a difficult choice for the committee to make.
Here's a question that I have for the group here. What is more valuable, the conference
We can cut off
tournament
the Jamal Mashburn part. We can stop it. We can stop there. So here's Bruce Pearl yesterday as he starts his Deion Sanders-like backpedal. In spite of the recent propaganda, I've always been a mid-major guy. I think a one-loss Miami of Ohio team should get in. I don't think they're one of the best 37 at-large teams, but are one of the most deserving. Good for the MAC, Cinderella, and March Madness. Everybody's backing up. I'm glad they're backing up because the attack that I was going to launch on Bruce Pearl today was not going to be nice. I started digging in like, man, I started digging into Bruce Pearl and just like, man, I wasn't he involved in some controversies? And then I went and did my research and digging up and just refreshing my memory. This guy's college coaching career started out like as an assistant at Iowa, where he secretly tape recorded a conversation between an 18-year-old recruit named Deion Thomas, who was Mr. Basketball in the state of Illinois, a prize recruit, and Iowa wanted him, and he was the assistant in charge of recruiting, and he secretly tape recorded this kid and cost the kid his first year of eligibility or his freshman season at Illinois because he had heard that Illinois had promised an assistant coach at Illinois for Lou Henson by the name of Jimmy Collins had promised Deion Thomas $80,000, and Bruce Pearl secretly tape recorded this kid talking about it. That's how his career started. And then it's just a mess of controversies from there. A mess all along the way. Things that no one else would have gotten away with or been able to recover from, but somehow magically Bruce Pearl, none of it sticks with Bruce Pearl. Problems he had at Tennessee, problems he had at Auburn, none of it sticks with Bruce Pearl. But I'm not going to, he backed off, and so I'm going to back off. But Dan Dockich, who has been out here championing Bruce Pearl, and Bruce Pearl's right about, he's even having to backpedal because he's like, Bruce Pearl was right. They lost the mask, just like he said. It's like, no one thought, or if you listen to this show, if you listen to Las Vegas, no one thought Miami was going to win the MAC tournament. Akron was the Vegas odds-on favorite. You can't win 30, 40 games in a row. The pressure and you playing all these close games, it was bound to happen. Dan Dockich backpedaling, play the clip.
Miami is a lock to make the NCAA tournament. I don't care that they lost today. People that were there, coaches that were there said, damn, it's amazing. Because UMass, bigger, better, stronger athletes all across the board. The MAC is built for parity. And what Miami of Ohio did is absolutely the best story of college basketball and incredible. An unbelievable achievement. No. 6 teams in Ohio, all the travel, the cold, you guys get sick, they lost it. To go undefeated, Travis Steele should be the National Coach of the Year. Miami should be in the NCAA tournament, and Alabama should not be in the NCAA tournament. For crying out loud, they looked at the NCAA and said, we're going to play this player, even though you, the NCAA, said we can't use him. Because some freaking judge, please, in Alabama said the dude could play. Alabama out for playing an ineligible player. Miami, Ohio in for being great all year. Not good, great.
Let's add Auburn not in the tournament either. They lost. They suck. They're trash. Get all these Power Four conference teams. Listen, I'm going too long. I want to get to Frank Martin. Awesome show planned for you today. If you're listening over Apple, Spotify, hit that 5-star rating. It's important. I also want to thank GhostBed for making today possible. My GhostBed is just outside this door. We use it all the time. It's absolutely amazing. It's part of the reason why this morning I was out, did my 3-mile walk this morning. GhostBed is incredible because GhostBed doesn't build mattresses like furniture. They build engineered sleep systems. Their beds are serious health equipment, beds designed for relief and recovery, not looks, not fluff. Your body should be healing while you sleep, not fighting for comfort. I noticed the difference right away. If you're waking up stiff, tossing and turning, sleeping hot, even reaching for a pain reliever before bed, hoping tonight will be different. That's not aging. That could be your mattress talking to you. And here's another thing I love about GhostBed. You get 101 nights to try it at home. If you don't feel the difference, you can send it back risk-free. GhostBed is offering my audience their lowest price of the season, plus an extra 10% off. Go to ghostbed.com/fearless. Use the promo code fearless. That's ghostbed.com/fearless. Promo code fearless. Don't go anywhere. Frank Martin, the head coach at UMass, they pulled off the great upset so far of the college basketball tourney season. They knocked off Miami of Ohio, ended their undefeated season yesterday, 87-83. Frank Martin. X.
Donald Trump knows he's always on camera. He knows he's always being recorded and filmed. There's a part of me that thinks he was taking I think he was taking a little bit of a fun locker room dig. Probably had heard some chimed in comments here or there. Again, I've stated it didn't bother me when I heard it the first time. Wasn't taken aback by it. I don't think Trump does anything that's just not somewhat calculated or somewhat known. And he knows he's on camera. He knows that he's being recorded no matter what he does. I think there's a little part of him that was just turning it a little bit on the ladies, probably due to some comments that he's heard or seen along the way. I agree with TJ. I feel like their response to it and the handling of it has been exceptionally pro level, but I don't think that and that was my argument to my wife, I don't think that the women's team was going regardless. So there's something to it all. I think he was turning the screw just a little bit.
As promised, we had the head basketball coach of UMass here. They pulled off the big upset yesterday, knocking off undefeated and 20th ranked the Miami RedHawks, ending their perfect season. Ending their perfect season, but not ending their season, I don't think. Frank, let me be the first person to congratulate you and thank you, because I believe you made the Mid-American Conference a 2-bid league rather than a 1-bid league. I actually think this is a great thing.
I mean, this is your home. You know this league better than 98% of the people out there. And I was, from my time in the Midwest at Cincinnati, at K-State, where we met, I knew the MAC is a really good league. And when our school made the decision to join the MAC, it was a football decision, but everyone thought it was going to be like a walk in the park for us, everyone out in the East Coast. And I was like, you guys are out of your minds. That league is really good. They got some really good coaches and the Ohio schools, Bowling Green, Toledo, Kent, Akron, Miami. They've got great home court environments. So I knew what I was walking into. I'm just glad that I'm really happy for Travis Steele. I told him that before the game. I told him after the game. John Gross, those are guys that, like me, they had high major jobs. And all three of us got fired for what was perceived as not winning, even though we actually did win, but we all got fired. And and those guys are younger than me, and I'm really happy for them that they've been able to build the programs that they have there, because those two teams, they can both. If Akron had lost today, they deserve to be in too. That's how good both of those teams are.
Listen, we interviewed Travis Steele and John on Monday, and I told Travis Steele, or I indicated Travis Steele, and he already knew that, he's going to have his hands full Thursday morning. He's played you twice. It went down to the wire twice during the regular season. It's not a surprise. And when you're carrying that 31-0 luggage around your neck, Frank Martin doesn't have to say anything to his guys about how big this game is and what an opportunity it is. The record motivates the opposition, and you're a good coach, and you're just like them. They've won a bunch of close games. You lost a bunch of close games. You got to this is not a surprise.
Well, winning takes time. People think that in today's day and age, it's like fantasy sports or video games, that you put stats together and it works. We're human beings. You got to get people to coexist and learn. And more importantly, you put all these guys together in 10 months and they all had good stats where they were at, getting them to sacrifice, that's more complicated than teaching them to grow. And that's the world that we're in right now. So the right that Travis Steele and John Gross have earned at those two schools is that they kept their players. That's a credit to them. It's a credit to their school, that they have the resources and that the experience has been so good that they stayed. So teams like us, that we got 10, 11 new guys, winning takes time. That happens organically. That doesn't happen just because you walk in the gym. Jason, when you and I met, I had 2 first-round NBA picks. One of them was the National Player of the Year. It was our worst record in 5 years at K-State. Part of it is because I was too young. The other part is I had 8 freshmen. It's hard to do when you start, but then you grow things. So you lose the pros, but the same guys stayed together, and we won more games the following year. But the MAC is awesome. And by the way, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you here, because I don't think it's something that's ever been said publicly by me. When I did become a head coach for the first time, as you remember, a lot of people in the media attacked me, basically called me a clown and a caretaker of little kids or whatever. Only one person ever retracted that and went back and wrote a story to say, I was wrong, give this guy some credit, and that was you. And I don't think, I thanked you privately, but I don't think I've ever thanked you publicly for being man enough to own your just to give me credit and own your decisions at the time.
Bill's talking. Bill, he's talking about Bill Walker and Michael Beasley when he was at Kansas State, Frank Martin, but he's also talking about the growth that you had. And the reason why I brought up Bill was Bill Ryder came down and wrote an amazing story on you in Manhattan. And I read it and I was like, holy cow, because it was just very well reported. Bill is a heck of a sports writer. And it just made me say, hey, man, I got to deal with the facts in front of me. And I'm looking at the growth. Other people can see the growth. And, yeah, I never have a problem admitting when I'm wrong. It's a sign of humility, and it's just a sign of common sense. You got to react to new information. And Frank, hell of a coach, hell of a job at K-State, obviously a hell of a job at South Carolina, taking them to a Final Four. And I'm not going to be surprised when you have success at UMass. Don't miss the elephant in the room, though. What happened today? Why were you able, or yesterday, why were you able to knock off Miami?
Our guys from the first two games, they gained a lot of confidence that this is a team that we can play against. And give the kids credit, because we got down 10 or 11 in the second half. As soon as the game ended, I went right to watching film of the next opponent. So I didn't go back and watch that film. It's not that time of year where you're worried about yesterday, you're worried about tomorrow. And but I think we were down either 10 or 11 in the second half. Yeah, and our whole demeanor was unbelievable. And what I preached all week heading into the tournament was, we don't need a hero. We need our team. Next play. That's all we got to worry about. And we actually did that. And, we stayed. We got 10. We didn't have anybody try to do it on their own. We worked really hard defensively at taking away. Miami's really good at getting easy baskets. They feel how you're defending them. Their point guard shooter is phenomenal. And they feel how you're defending them, and then they figure out a way to get an easy basket against your coverages. We were really good at taking away easy baskets this last time. The first two times we put them on the foul line. First time like 35 times. Can't beat them. Second time, they got too many easy baskets against us. So we took those away. And then offensively, we never got out of character. We didn't have a guy that decided, it's time for me to go make a play. No, we kept doing the things that we're supposed to do and attacking the paint. You have to attack. If all you do settle for threes against Miami, they're so long on the perimeter that you're cheating yourself. You have to attack the paint, and we did that, and we converted. And credit to our guys, because we've been in that moment a whole lot this year and couldn't come over the top most of the times. But against Miami the third time, we came, and when we got the lead, we kept the lead. And we got defensive stops, something that we've struggled with all year.
Are you confident that today your kids won't be satisfied? Hey, we knocked off the ranked team. We knocked off the undefeated team. Job well done. Are they ready for Toledo?
We'll be ready to play. I can give you a cheesy answer and make it sound like I got all the answers. We all got brand new players every year. If I had a team full of 3-year guys that have been with me for 3 years, we've lived it, we understand it, we know how we're each going to handle it. I've got 11 new guys on my team. And the fact that we finally got over the hurdle, the fact that 3 days ago, thank God I'm not a social media guy, but they are. The kids are, and anyone that tries to prevent them from being is fighting a losing battle. And I just told them after the game, I was like, do me a favor, don't be on social media all night, because the same people that are texting you great job or tweeting or whatever you call it these days, Xing you or whatever, they're the same ones that 3 days ago were saying we're a bunch of bums because we lost 6 of our last 7 games. So don't fall in love with that nonsense. It is what it is. People can have opinions. It's great. Worry about your family, but let's have a good night's sleep let's get our minds right, and let's prepare to go play our best game today against Toledo.
I think did you not beat Toledo in the regular season? You played them once, and you beat them once already. Tell us a little bit about Toledo. What do they do well? What are you going to have to capitalize on?
Can really score. The top 3 teams in the league, actually the top 4 teams in the league, Akron, Miami, Kent, and Toledo, they can all really score. Toledo has 2 dynamic guards. They were high school teammates in Detroit. Point guard's a freshman. The 2 guard is a sophomore, if I'm not mistaken. They've got a center who knows how to score inside. And then they've got 2 6'7" wings that can really shoot. So the 2 guards dominate the ball, and they play in great space, and they're trying to attack you off the bounce, pressuring your perimeter defense extremely hard. If you collapse, they got shooters with size when they kick. And then if you're kind of like trying to worry about the guard so much, then they post their big guy, and he's a 11-point a game guy in there. He knows what he's doing. So it's they're very balanced. Defensively, they're similar to us. They struggle to protect the paint. They don't defend the paint very well. Partly is we got small guards. They got small guards. So it's when you got small guards, it's hard to make passing complicated. And when people drive you, the way basketball's taught today's day and age, back in the day, Jason, when we were younger, you passed the ball to the wing, you set a cross screen, you post it up, you set a down screen, you shot it from the top of the key, or you pass it to the other wing. Now everything is space and drive. So when you got smaller guards, when they drive you, it's really hard to stay in front and not get scored on when people are bigger. Toledo and us, we both got smaller guards, so matchup-wise, it'll be a little easier there. And then Todd Kowalczyk, he's the godfather in the conference. He's been in the league forever. Up until the last 2 years, Toledo had basically won the league every single year for like 6 straight years. So it's they're good. They're a little young, and that's why they couldn't overcome the hump against Miami and Akron during the regular season. But they're good, and we're excited. I think we're good too. If you just look at records, which is what the people, whoever don't watch us play, they just look at the record. I mean, Florida State is an upper half ACC team. We beat them in Florida. We went down to Florida and beat them. We're up 20 with 3 to play. We've got some really good wins on our schedule. The league, going back to the MAC. Bowling Green goes into K-State, beats K-State by 25. I'm not even going to talk about Akron and Miami. Those guys are like 2 special teams. That's why nobody would schedule them, because everyone knew they were good. They weren't going to give them the opportunity to lose to them. Eastern Michigan goes into, I can't remember who they beat. They beat another high major school. Buffalo went into St. Bonaventure, and they were 13-1 at the time and beat St. Bonaventure. St. Bonaventure's in the semifinals of the Atlantic 10 tournament. There's like 6 or 7 wins like that by all the teams in the league, and that's the league's really good. I'm really excited to be a part of this basketball league. People care about basketball in the MAC.
I want to stick with the Miami theme a bit here, just because I think for you, the fans at UMass, and your players, what Miami did and the attention they got this year should open the eyes of your fans, your administration, your boosters, and your players. Like, man, we can be a national story from right here in the MAC. And I think with, because I use Michael Lewis, who's been relieved of his duties, but talk to him, talk to other MAC coaches. UMass coming into the league and in money that Miami's invested, Toledo's invested in basketball, that this whole thing is actually elevating in the Mid-American Conference. And that's why I'm tired of Miami having to apologize for being 31-0. If you actually paid attention to what's going on in the MAC, you can see a tide rising, and it's lifting several boats.
I'm not into calling people names, and I'm not into hating. Um, uh, Excuse me. I call these three guys that work all the games I usually coach in names, not anybody else. I'm just being funny. But I'm not into calling people names, and I like having fun and laughing. Everyone thinks I'm this, grunch that just hates everybody. But I was in the SEC. The Big Ten had gotten 4 teams into the tournament. The SEC had gotten 3 teams into the tournament. You know what we met about in the SEC? We got to change the RPI because the RPI has been tricked by the smaller schools to take our bids away at the big schools. So they went away from the RPI because people had figured out how to rig the RPI, and we inherited this new net formula. They hired some professor from MIT to help put it together. Well, they used all these metrics to give us our numbers. Well, Jason, let me ask you this. How does anyone, I got 11 new players. How does anyone know what our so-called number is before the season starts? And 90% of the schools are just like us. Our number to start the year was 197. That was one of the better numbers in the MAC outside of Miami and Akron. So if all our numbers starts at 197 and nobody plays you, then all the big schools, when I was in the SEC, think about it, we got 3 in. We finished at South Carolina, top 6 in the SEC, 6 of my 10 years. We got in 1 time. Last year, they got 14 teams into the tournament. They rigged the whole system to protect the big conferences. It's what they did. I don't care if they get mad. I was in the meetings. I know what happened. And now they assign the mid-major schools these preseason metric numbers, the Ken Palm, which is part of the metric that creates the net. We're 197. Who are we going to schedule to give us a chance? We play 18 conference games. If all 18 of us have a number very similar to 197 or below, how do we ever get to the top 50? That's what the problem with Miami. Miami's a top 30 team, but their metrics make it look like they're not. It has nothing to do with metrics. It's rigged to protect the big conferences. And that's the truth. And anyone that wants to argue with that is just trying to protect the net. But that's the reality of what we create. So now strength of schedule looks bad. Of course it looks bad. You gave me a number before we played a game. All the Big Ten schools were 40 and above. 90% of the SEC schools were 40 and above. So then they play each other all year. Win or lose, that number stays there. How do you ever go from 200 to 40 in the net? It's not going to happen unless you play the teams that got 30 and 40 in the net, and none of those schools give us an opportunity. Sorry for the long answer there, man.
No,
that
is
rig.
Absolute gold. That's why I wanted to have you on. Wow, that's powerful. It makes so much sense. They're rigging the Cinderellas out of the tournament, just keeping the money among a handful of elites and the prestige among a handful of elites. They don't want any more Gonzagas. They don't want any more of that. It's a fascinating point, and man, you've blown my mind here. But I really think that's why what Miami's doing is important. That's why what Akron's doing. If Akron is the favorite to win this tournament, and I think they won't be able to deny Miami. But whoever wins the tournament is going into the big dance, and I think so is Miami. But again, UMass is a part of this story because I've talked to, when I was talking to Michael Lewis, he was talking about, man, UMass coming in, they're spending money. Obviously, Miami's going to have an $8 million football roster and probably a $2 or $3 million basketball roster. Now, the big schools will continue to elevate, but the MAC is a conference on the rise. And the last thing, or not the last thing, but the last point on Miami, Frank, when you win 31 straight games, I don't care who it's against. I don't care. It's like I'll get. I don't know if you know who LeVar Arrington is. It's one of my
LeVar.
Yeah, great friend of mine. Is like, I'm
I
like his
remember him
big
when he
brother.
played AAU basketball for the Pittsburgh Jots, and his coach was one of Bob Huggins' closest friends, J.O. Strite from U.S. Steel. I know LeVar.
All right, so LeVar and I are good friends. LeVar loves to play chess against me. Our ratings are, I'm light years ahead of him in ratings. But, by the time I beat him 15 times in a row, 16 is much harder, 17 is much harder, 8. Miami's not getting credit for winning games. That is the point of everything that they're doing, and people don't want to give them credit for that.
Yeah. I told Travis Steele after the game, he deserves a lot of credit for the way he's handled himself and his players have handled themselves in being able to be so resilient and continue to win these close games and stay undefeated. I said, you guys, what you've done is powerful, man. Think about some of these teams that got, think about the Calipari team at Kentucky that had all those pros. They got beat in the NCAA tournament. It's really really hard, man. It's the Kansas teams when you were still in Kansas City and I was at K-State. Kansas had a team that had 8 first-round picks on it. 8. Texas had 7. They didn't come close to being undefeated. It's hard, man. It's really complicated. What those kids at that school have done, it's a credit to them. It's and the fact that all these league teams, us included, have played them that close and that well is a credit to the coaching and the players that we have in the MAC. I think the MAC is a heck of a basketball league.
Frank, I want to thank you for taking the time. I'm going to let you get back to what you do very well in March, and that's surprise people and win games you're not supposed to win. I hope you got another one today. Thank you so much for the time.
From your mouth to God's ears, Jason.
That's Frank Martin, one of the best people in college basketball, old school coach, good friend of mine. We'll be back with more Fearless. Next. And I mean, it's kind of a silly question. I was gonna does this picture belong with the great pantheon of great sports pictures? Ali standing over Liston to Dwight Clark's sketch that made the cover of Sports Illustrated. Jordan hugging the trophy. I believe this was after his dad had passed away in the lock. Hank Aaron hitting 715 with the fans, coming out to pat him on the back. And Brandy Chastain, even, which I think is, kind of bogus, but ripping off her shirt and revealing her sports bra. But will Jack Hughes' picture, does it even belong in the conversation with these guys?
Our religion, our regrets, and our decisions. We all want to go to heaven with freedom. It's my obligation, no hate, discrimination, raising up your hands for freedom.
All right, welcome back. I'm going to be joined by TJ Moe and Dre Baldwin. Let's bring these guys in. It's going to take me a couple of minutes to unpack what I want to talk about because a lot of it's going to center on Shedeur Sanders and something that's going on with the Cleveland fan base that not enough people are talking about. There's a radio talk show host, a writer for The Athletic by the name of Jason Lloyd, who has been writing and talking about some honest things as it relates to Shedeur Sanders and what's going on in the Browns locker room. Let's start. I want to start there by playing you this Jason Lloyd talking about what he's been reporting and saying in Cleveland about Shedeur Sanders. Play the clip.
All I said was enough people have said things like, doesn't watch a ton of film, doesn't really know how to watch film, had to sort of be shown how to watch film, doesn't know what he's looking at on the field, doesn't know when he's hot, all this stuff. And people just lost their minds over it. I've been doing this 25 years.
He hasn't gotten any better during the year about
I have never seen a story like this where what is said behind the doors and the public narrative is this far off. I've never seen anything like this.
I find this fascinating. I want to play you guys a clip. He's on the radio show, and this is an example of the kind of stuff he's dealing with, not just in social media, but in Cleveland, just fans irate and going at him. Let's play SOT 3.
Real quick. So the problem for you, Mr. Jason Lloyd, is everything that you're saying, there are all pros and pros that break down film that can refute what you're saying, and we can see it. You kind of acting like the government right now. You know what I'm saying?
What are you watching? What are you watching in film that refutes what I'm saying?
So there are,
because I can show you a Deshaun Kaiser highlight reel from his rookie year, where you would think he's an All-Pro.
Oh,
and that
I'm
was
not
his 1
talking
year
about
as a starter.
Deshaun Kaiser. I'm talking about Shedeur Sanders. There are different people on the internet that break down his film, and Chase Daniel, one of them. You know what I'm saying? He my quarterback from Missouri. He break down film to refute things that you say, and there are other quarterback coaches that break down that refutes what you're saying.
Is Chase Daniel in the Browns locker room?
So I'm getting to that point right there.
You better hurry up.
All right, so that's an example of a little bit of what Jason Lloyd's dealing with. But then this last clip, there's a guy, I think his name's Garrett Bush. He's been on this show before. He works in sports radio in Cleveland. He predicted and was trying to tell people earlier this week, hey man, there's a backlash coming. There's this cult of Shedeur that's going to be a tsunami and worse than anything that we've ever seen. Play that clip.
I told people when we was coming, here, in the beginning, and when they drafted Shedeur Sanders, I told everybody in the media, all of them, I said, guys, I'm on the ground floor. I'm in the streets. This is different. It's different. It's a storm coming. And you might want to get it. You might want to understand what's going on. And he said, what are you talking about? We didn't have Deshaun. We didn't have Baker. We didn't have Odell. I said, no. That's nice. I was here for all of those. Yeah. You ain't seen nothing like the loyalty and fan base that this guy got. And they got different engagements with these rules. They're not going to take slander. If you say something and it's incorrect, they're going to find it they got receipts.
I'm getting to my point here. I watch this stuff. I start going down the rabbit hole of what's going on with Shedeur in Cleveland this offseason. And it just made me think about man, we are really living in the age of idolatry. And that if you're not an idolatrous person, you're actually abnormal and you're actually vilified. You haven't found your idol to worship, to go all in on, to hate anybody that questions anything about them. And this extends well beyond Shedeur Sanders. We talked about Lamar Jackson on yesterday's show and how people don't want you to question anything about Lamar, don't want you to question anything about his mother being his representative. I think about it like Kobe fans that very idolatrous. You can't criticize him. I think about the Michael Jordan fans and the LeBron fans that are at constant war over who the GOAT is. And if you say anything horrible about either one, people could turn violent, threaten violence, get very offended. I think about Erica Kirk. I think about Candace Owens. I think about Trump fans. It's like everybody has these idols. And we're living in the age of idolatry. And it's no, for someone like me, it's no fun because I can remember when I started out in journalism professionally, when I got out of college, and my second job was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Third job was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And this is how stupid I was then. I come in and I'm writing a column about Michigan football, Michigan basketball, and a magazine. I'm causing all this uproar in I can remember when I started out in journalism professionally, when I got out of college, and my second job was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Third job was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And this is how stupid I was then. I come in and I'm writing a column about Michigan football, Michigan basketball, and a magazine. I'm causing all this uproar in Ann Arbor with the stuff I'm writing in the Ann Arbor News. and a magazine wrote a story about me, and in the title, it called me an iconoclast. And I remember running to the dictionary. What's an iconoclast? I didn't even know what it was. And I had to look it up. And I was like, oh, man, I guess I am an iconoclast. I go after icons. And it's just something natural in me. Like, I don't like idolatry. There are no sacred cows. Not even the cow that's talking right now is sacred to me. I will criticize me. But we're living in this age of idolatry. To me, it makes sports no fun. It makes life less fun, much more difficult, much more chaotic. And so, TJ, I'm going to start with you. Am I doing too much here? Am I reading too far into some backlash over Shedeur tweets?
Well, no. The only thing I'd say about Shedeur is not the real idol Deion is. Shedeur is just the way that people defend Deion. And so I don't think anybody really cares that much about it. He's just an extension. That's it. If Deion was not attached to him in any way, I don't think this behavior would exist in the same way.
Hold for 1 second. I just want to stop there because that's an interesting thought. Dre, do you agree with that the Shedeur thing is only because of Deion?
I think TJ left it a step short. It's not because of Deion. Deion stopped playing a long time ago. It's black man playing in a majority white sport, and he hasn't proven to be that good. And there are a bunch of black people who are looking at this as, hey, if we support this black guy in this majority white place, it's a way of proving our blackness. That's what it actually is. Deion is an extension of that, and Shedeur is an extension of Deion.
Football is predominantly black at that level.
Yeah, I'm talking about the people who run it.
Well, what about all the other quarterbacks? I didn't see this for Kyler Murray. I didn't. There's
I agree.
These guys. So why Shedeur?
Deion, well, first of all, Kyler Murray doesn't claim the streets like that guy from that clip that you played there, Jason. He was talking about he's in the streets. Deion and Shedeur are not from the streets. If Deion's from the streets, it was a long time ago in the 1980s. That's the thing that black people jump into. We're in the streets. We're part of the culture. This thing that is not mainstream, this thing that white people don't quite understand. Deion has found a way to grab a hold of that. He and his media company have found a way to grab a hold of that. Shedeur is the best son performance-wise, and he's the extension of it. Deion, people don't care about that much. He's a coach. He stopped playing. Most of these kids who are cheering for Shedeur never even saw Deion play. They don't even know who he is, except for that's Shedeur's dad. So that's what this really is.
Don't know if I agree with that.
Let me jump in, TJ, and give my I don't know if it's pushback or not, but it's this racial idolatry, and then there's this: if a dad is around and present, he's reached such a high level, he's jumped over such a high bar. How dare you question anything about him? He's around and present. He coached his kids in Little League. Again, how dare you criticize this black father who actually did what Chris Rock said you're supposed to do as a father? He fathered his kids. That's part of this. It's like, how dare you? LeVar Ball, he's involved. He, coached and mentored his sons. How dare you criticize anything about him? So I do think Dre, it's not simply Deion. It's these other things that Deion has kind of attached himself. I'm an involved father. I'm untouchable.
That's, maybe so, but that's still Deion. In this scenario, it's Deion. Okay, it could have been anybody else. As you said, LeVar was a great example. But in this scenario, it is Deion. And does Shedeur, without being on the Deion train, get any of this attention to begin with? In other words, is he ever, with his talent level, having gone from historically black college to Colorado and losing more than half of his games, is it even a story that he falls the 5th round pick? Does anybody even care that much as just a dude who played at Colorado? Or is it because he's Deion's kid?
He would get some attention for it. He doesn't talk enough, I don't think, to generate the type of attention that he's generated himself personally. But the bigger thing is, like what we're talking about here, Jason, is the era of idolatry. Admiration is, I'm a fan of yours. I was an admirer of Deion, the player, but I didn't idolize him. I didn't get mad if somebody else criticized him. What happens now is it goes from I admire your performance to I am who you are. I saw this guy say this on X a couple months ago. He said, I swear some of you dudes look in the mirror and you see your favorite rapper. And it made perfect sense. It's the same thing when it comes to athletes. The way that people defend these athletes and entertainers, it's as if they really take it as a personal offense that you say something bad about the person that they like. You can be a fan. I can defend a person I like, but I don't take it personal that you said something negative about them. Let's have a conversation. I can defend them. I like them because they're good. I'm not defending them because I see myself in them. And that's the difference.
Jason, I was thinking about this when you brought this topic. So, the history of the world is you have to be tribal for survival. Every man who for himself doesn't work. This is why, you go back to factory settings, right? Get rid of most of your Christian worldview and such. Go to prison and see how long you last by yourself. This is why everybody immediately joins up with the tribe in prison. And I think Christianity largely rooted that out of people. And that wasn't what the West was made on. And we're in a post-Christian world here in America right now. And this is factory settings without Christianity.
I think even further.
Go ahead.
Even further, we're in a post-institution world. So you're right about Christianity, but all institutions, a lot of them just don't have the pull that they used to have. Even the family doesn't have the pull. So a Dion or a Shedeur, people can feel they see themselves in them, and they say, well, hey, here's a black man, as Jason said, takes care of his kids. He made a lot of money, put his kids in a good position. Now here's this kid who's being counted out by a lot of people. He has a chance to shine. He's not getting his chance yet. That's the whole argument with Shedeur. He hasn't gotten his chance yet. He doesn't start next season. It's going to be more of that. He hasn't gotten his chance yet. People are looking at the idol as the institution. The great thing about this is if you can be the idol, you can get thousands or millions of people doing your bidding for you. I mean, we're having a conversation about Shedeur right now. But if you're not the idol and you're not an idolater, then you're looking at this like these people look crazy. But when you're in the midst of it, it's hard to see the trees from the forest, so to speak. I don't think people want to see it.
I don't know. I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back. I'm just saying it because it generally just comes to my mind. I've never thought or wanted people to look up to me. And I say that in all seriousness. That because it's a choice. I know the things I could do to make the public like me more. And I just refuse to do them because I don't want to be an idol. I want to tear down idols. And I just think that's not a philosophy that I developed. It's just an instinct that I was born with or was given to me. And so that's why I'm so baffled by this time that we live in. And when I see people get really emotional when one of their idols gets criticized, I just sit there in stunned amazement. I was like, you thought this person was perfect and there was nothing that could be nitpicked about them? And that's when I see people make idols of the people that they hate. And they can't see the truth about, well, I hate that person. And so I must discredit them at every turn. That baffles me as well. But we have an idolatry. And Dre, I thought you said something really powerful about the institution. When you said that even the family as an institution has been diminished and has less pull, that's really powerful and really scary. And it, I immediately started thinking about social media and all this technology. And who's the guy? Was it the Unabomber that wrote the manifesto saying technology is destroying the world?
Yep.
Yeah. I think about that all the time. Like, if we didn't have cell phones, life would be so much better. It causes an over communication that didn't used to exist. It cheapens conversation. Like, and I've said this before on the show, but it's like, if you wanted to talk to a girl when I was growing up, you had to call her on her home phone that there was only one line on, and her mom or dad might be on the phone, her brother, sister might be on the phone, aunt, uncle, whatever. She may have to get off the phone because someone, has to make another phone call. Like, it was really difficult and it took some effort. And so, like, you had to really be into her to make that effort. Now, and I used to be an idiot that would do this. You'd wake up in the morning and you might text 3 or 4 different people just to keep the lines of communication going. First thing in the morning, let me text these 3 or 4 people to make them think I'm thinking about them. The whole thing is just cheapened and we're less connected. And I don't know. This conversation is boring. TJ, hop back in here. Bail me out.
Well, I want to address one of the things you said. You said you've never wanted people to look up to you. I don't know if that's a good approach, actually. People are going to look up to somebody, and people should look up to somebody who is. My grandfather wrote me I was 8 years old, and he wrote me like a prophecy email on my life. And one of the things that he told me was, hey, you're going to be really good at sports, and you're going to have a really good mind, and people are going to look up to you. It's your job to try to be like Jesus, because people are going to be trying to be like you. And if you're trying to be like Jesus, they're going to be trying to be like Jesus. And these people are going to look up to somebody. And so this is what the entirety of this conversation is about, right? And so if you don't want people looking up to you and you're one of the people trying to stay on the straight and narrow, I don't think the Charles Barkley approach is a good one.
I agree with that, what you're saying there, TJ. And I think it's just a matter of semantics. What are we calling an idol? How do we define that term? Because the idol, Charles Barkley saying, I don't want to be anybody's idol. Like, hey, don't try to be like me. But I do believe Charles Barkley wanted his teammates, Armin Gilliam, Hersey Hawkins, to grab more rebounds, make more shots. He did want to inspire the fans to come to the games and buy tickets. So it's just a matter of what are we calling an idol and what exactly do we mean when we say that?
Dre and TJ, you both have kids, and you should want your kids to look up to you. You're both married. You want your wife to have a measure of respect and reverence for you. And so that, I don't know. I spend too much time thinking about my flaws.
Guess what my kids are going to be doing, Jason?
Huh?
Guess what my kids are going to be doing? Looking around for somebody that's not their dad to figure out who's the coolest. And they're going to say, I need to be like that guy. And I've got to have somebody to point them to. Because dad's not super cool in your life. At some point, every kid goes through that. And so my dad used to tell me that all the time. I actually never went through that stage, but most kids go through. You're going to think dad's really dumb at some point. And I need somebody to point him to. Right?
I never went through that. I may have disagreed with my father, but I have spent a lot of my life not trying to disappoint my father. A lot.
I'm similar. I think we're the outliers. Virtually every friend I ever had thought their parents were idiots at some point for a season, and then they
Well, I thought my father was an idiot, but I didn't want to disappoint him. And that wasn't out of fear. We disagreed on things massive. My father was a racist. Loved my dad, revered my dad. Part of why I'm not married or why I didn't get married early is like I didn't want to disappoint my dad because I would have married a white woman and he would have been disappointed. Wedding would have been a mess but I spent a lot of my life trying not to disappoint my dad.
I would like to be able to. Tony Dungy is a great example. I talked about him yesterday. I want to be able to point my kids to guys out in the public who have way more to lose than I do, who have staked their careers on their Christian values. And I want to be able to point to that. And you need to be able to look up to those people and say, why did they do that? And they will tell you, because of my faith in Jesus. Charlie Kirk, what did he want to be remembered for? For courage for my faith. And he said it. And now that's on, he was actually killed. And now it's set on repeat. Every video that I see has that clip in him from a podcast. I can point to you. I can point to Tony Dungy. I can point to guys who are actually willing to lose their livelihood to tell the truth. That's pretty important stuff.
It's interesting what you say there, TJ, and I'm going to say I don't think that's what your kids are going to do because I mean, you are head of a two-parent household. You have male kids? Or just,
two.
Your boys are going to look up to you because I looked at my father. My father was not an athlete. I'm 6'4". My dad's like 5'8". I thought Deion was cooler than my dad, but I wasn't trying to be Deion because I had a father at home. I was looking to do what my kid did. And your kids grow up to do what you do, not what you say. So even if you tell them, hey, that guy, they're still going to be looking at you. And they're going to wonder, okay, why is dad looking at that guy? What is dad like about that guy? That's what they're going to take away from it, not the guy. They may follow him a bit, but they're really going to be mimicking you and mom because that's what they see at home. And that's who kids follow, which is why I said the institution of family is falling apart. Jason referred to it. The institution of community is falling apart because back in the day, and I'm younger than you, Jason, but I'm from an era where if you want to talk to a girl, you had to talk to a girl. You had to approach a girl and talk to her. You had something to say to another male. You couldn't say it through an Instagram comment. You had to approach him and say it to his face. And the era that we're in now, communication is cheapened because you can say anything through a phone to a person who you don't even know and may never meet, might not even be a real person, and they can do the same thing with you. But the people who we are connected to in the institutions we are connected to, those who follow a faith, those who have families, us as heads of households, the kids in that house are going to be following mom and dad, whether you want them to or not. No matter what you say, they're going to follow your actions.
I hope that's true.
Oh, it's guaranteed.
And to your point, I did. I thought my dad was way cooler than everybody else, and so that is correct. I've just observed the opposite in a lot of my friends, and that's where I'm coming from. I thought I was the weird one. I usually am.
I think one thing I'm wondering though is as we get more disconnected, we put on headsets, we go to our rooms that have TVs, phone lines, that I actually see a little bit of TJ's point is that it's harder to follow your parents or your dad because there's all these other voices in your head that were not in my head when I grew up. That again, we had one TV, and if your mother, because my parents divorced, if my mother wanted the TV cut off, it got cut off. I don't want to hear that noise. And we had one record player in the living room. Everybody had to listen to all the music. If my mother didn't want to hear the music, cut that stuff off. I don't want to hear it. Now there's all these different voices and influences, and maybe the disconnection has created some of the idolatry because the people that we're supposed to look up to have less influence over us because we have all these other things pulling us away from them. If I wanted to be entertained, when my parents were divorced, me, my mother, and brother would sit at the dinner table, the dining room table, and play cards. 500, we just play cards. That's how we entertain her. We play Monopoly. Eventually we had a video game, but early on we didn't. And so we had to entertain by engaging with each other. And now that we don't do that.
I think that's a real thing. It's true what you said there about the video games. I think I was probably maybe 5-6 years old when we got video games, late 80s, early 90s. But when it came to the connection for families, the biggest thing is making sure you keep your kids off of all those options. My kid's not going to have a phone until he's in his probably mid-teens, 15, 16, 17 years old. We try not to put our kid on YouTube to sit down and eat lunch and just have him sit and relax or listen to music or just talk to him. It takes a lot of patience, but that keeps them from thinking they need to plug into something other than mom and dad and what's happening at home in order to get their engagement. And the longer you can keep the kid off of that stuff, the less they want it. I've read that by about 8 years, a kid has been wired in a way that you can't change no matter what you do from age 9 to death. So that first 8 years, those formative years, are really important for what you're allowing the kid to do, engage with, and be entertained by.
Jason, to your point, the developers of all this technology don't let their kids use the technology. They know how poisonous it is. Mark Zuckerberg, I don't know if he might not be the right example. I was reading about all of the founders of these major, all the tech platforms and everything. Their kids aren't allowed to do it. They know because they have all the studies. In fact, I get down to my kids can watch almost nothing, and we occasionally let that. They get iPads on planes so that everybody around us doesn't want to kill us, and on car rides to Texas. We go see my in-laws, and that's 10 to 11 hours, and we give them iPad. Otherwise, that's it. And they will get a little bit, maybe once every 2 weeks or so, we'll let them watch a couple shows on the TV. We play YouTube. We don't even turn the TV on otherwise. And there's a show called Daniel Tiger, and it has been studied to the point where the kids, so they'll put kids in a room and then they will show them an episode. And if the kids get bored, they change the episode. And that's why there's so many things popping up all the time. And the kids are so overstimulated. When my kids watch Daniel Tiger, they're really mean to each other and us the rest of the day. They're not allowed to watch anymore. You can tell a measurable difference between how they act. And so it's very easy stuff to figure out when you're a kid. So my kids, my sister's kids aren't allowed to watch anything. My sister's kids now live, they're out on 10 acres, and their kids are outside fishing and out in the, they're totally normal kids. It's like talking to kids from the 1990s, like kids like me. You guys keep talking about you used to have to talk to girls. I was on the fringe of that deal, but I remember calling, I was in the age of the dial-up internet, okay? So I remember calling, and they would be on the internet, and I would get the internet dial tone because they were using it, and you couldn't get the girl, all right? And so by the time I got into dating and such, we started to have cell phones. But I'm telling you, that world, we're actually, the sane people are returning to it. I know a lot of people, in fact, it's happening mostly, Jason, where you are. Down in Franklin, do you know how many people across the country are moving to Franklin, Tennessee in hopes to move back 30 years and not let their kids be crazy, just go back to a time where it was normal? And that's a massive movement. That's why the homeschool movement is so big right now. Across the country, homeschooling has never been more popular. Everybody's trying to get out of the loop you're talking about.
Yes, I'll be engaged in homeschooling, and my wife even tells me that about our kid, that he likes the monster trucks. So there's all these monster truck videos on YouTube, and when he watches those, he gets violent, he gets aggressive, he wants to crash all his toys, and he's jumping all around. And she's told me that, and I remember him watching Daniel Tiger months ago. He's only 3 years old, but I haven't heard Daniel Tiger in a long time because my wife kind of shut it down, and like, he needs to get off the video because it's not good for him, and she reads all the studies and that stuff. But the bigger picture here is, again, the institutions. We have to work to keep the institutions in place, because what it does is it counteracts entropy. Entropy means chaos and disorder come in, and that's natural. It's a natural scientific thing. The only way you keep chaos and disorder out of any aspect of life is you must have standards, parameters, and rules in place, but they must be enforced. That has to be engineered. It does not happen organically.
It cannot be done with young people with a single parent. It just can't be. It can't be done. Someone has to go to work and earn the money and be distracted. If both parties are distracted, chaos is going to enter the equation. And when I look at, and we'll end this, and thank you guys so much, but when I look at some of the videos that I see on the internet, and me and Shamika talked about one where a little black kid was beating up this other little white kid, and I just, it goes through my mind. I was like, I wonder how much TV that kid's parents is letting him watch, that they use it as a babysitter, or so that they can go do what they want to do, so they can be texting somebody or doing whatever they want to do rather than paying attention to their kids and listening to you guys talk as you guys are right in the thick of it. You know, I think that's a big problem. You're watching a cartoon and it's making your kid more violent, and you guys can see it in real time. And other people that are distracted, they can't see it. They don't know what's going on with their kid. TJ, it looks like you want to get a final thought in. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, there's just one more thing, and not to defend single parents who largely put themselves in that position. However, this is something I've thought a fair bit about. During your day, I mean, it was halfway true during my day, but certainly during your day. Even if, like, let's say there was technology, your parents could just say, get out of the house, go, and I'll see you guys when the street lights come on. You cannot do that anymore. And that is part of the reason I've thought about why there's a lot of people who are not having as many kids. I mean, I talk to people all the time, and they're like, we're topping out at 2. It's like, man, I used to know tons of families who had 4 and 5 kids. A ton. Everybody I know is topping out at 2 right now. And why is that? And I think one of the reasons is you have to be on 24/7. Your mom used to be able to send you outside and just go, man. Just go, and you will be safe. And the world has gone so insane, I cannot do that to my kids. And so there's something to these parents, like, it's exhausting watching your kids 24/7 and not letting them have technology. I do it. Well, my wife does it. Okay. So, but my family does it. We don't do the technology thing, but our eyes are on them 24/7. Didn't used to be like that. It is hard on parents.
Dre, you got a final thought?
Yes, I agree with that. And once a kid gets to about 2 years old, Jason, they need attention. They need stimulation, they need engagement. You can't pick up your phone and send a text message once they get to about 2. They need attention. And to TJ's point, the reason you can't send your kids out and say just go in most places is because we don't have a community. Back in the day, we had a community. You knew the next door neighbor, they knew you. You knew if you acted up, they would tell your mom or tell your dad. Everybody up and down the street knew each other. Now, there are still communities in America where it's like that, but those communities may cost a little bit more money. Maybe you need 2 incomes, and there's a community that checks each other. But if there's no community and there's no institutions, then you get chaos.
Thank you, gentlemen. Great job as always. Don't you guys go anywhere. More fearless. Next.
If somebody offered you $50 million for what is essentially an hour of work, would you consider it? Would you have a meeting about that? I would have a meeting about that.
He's not having a meeting. He signed the deal. It's happening September 19th.
Exactly. He spent his whole life boxing, so he can box, obviously. You wouldn't think about that? $49.
There are some things you give up. You know, it's like, look, I can still go to strip clubs. I gave it up. Just at my age, it's not the right look. Not that it was the right look at 40, but, you know, some things
that's a neutral decision. As a neutral decision. But if someone's offering you a ton of money to do something that you don't really want to do anymore, but you could do it, would you think about taking the money? I think that's a reasonable question for anybody. And Floyd doing something he's great at, they're going to pay, and he might win. He beat Manny 10 years ago. Why can't he beat him again? What's the difference?
But what do I know?
All right, welcome back. Time for some Coach JB. It's Friday. I think I know where this conversation is going to go, but I never really know with JB. JB, did Hadley tell you I want to talk about your take on Ryan Clark and the White House video and, you know, the war video? Did he tell you that?
Nah.
Oh,
my
yeah,
back's
I
been
did.
out. I had a big girl last night. My back's out. But what do I know is a great entry to me. I'm glad you put that in there because, like, I think I had a video that went viral about 4 years ago. That's when you called me after the Kyler Murray video that I had 10 million views on when I drew it up on my outdoor TV. And I think I called it to a T. But what do I know, man? But go ahead.
All right. Well, what you don't know is I think you're wrong about Ryan Clark here. So, JB, I got to give the audience a little background. I want to first play the White House video that triggered Ryan Clark. Can we can't play that with the sound? No, get copyrighted. Oh, that's right. It's got music playing in the back.
You
So
get copyrighted. I just got copyrighted today on my show. It's ridiculous. But go ahead.
Anyway, so they're analogizing the war in Iran to football big hits. There's some somewhat popular song. Do you know the song that's playing, Luke? Thunderstruck AC/DC is playing. And so Ryan Clark is briefly in the video on one of the hits. And so then now let's go to Ryan Clark, who put together a 3-minute take on it. Let's play the clip.
And I honestly don't have an immediate rage emotion about being involved in the video. But I am disappointed that the video was even made.
So it's the video, the war video.
Yes, I'm disappointed that because for one, to have Tropic Thunder and football highlights on a video about war is one of the more insensitive things that I've ever seen. There are families here in our country whose loved ones have decided to give their life to fight for our rights and our freedoms who don't see war as a sport. War doesn't deserve a highlight film. For Tropic Thunder to be a part of it, war is not a comedy. And for these people to be risking their lives, not for our safety as much as for someone else's agenda. For our regime to be as unserious, as unprofessional, as laughable, and as illegitimate as our leadership is right now is embarrassing. And it tells you the difference between a public servant and a reality star, right? Because the reality star needs everybody to know at all times, oh, look at me, look at the attention I'm garnering, we're doing this for me. The public servant stands at attention for 45 minutes in a salute because he understands what those soldiers who gave their lives have done for our country. And I think we've lost 100% any credibility. We've lost all decorum. We've lost all integrity. We've lost all character. And I believe that the latest White House post, or the White House post involving myself and other NFL players, is absolutely disgusting and despicable. I'm not asking them, or I don't care that they take it down. I don't care how long it's up. I don't care that they didn't ask me to do it, because what I've learned about our leadership now is they don't care about what we think. They don't care about what we say. It's about what one person wants, and anything different than the thing that they're supporting is wrong, and it'll be attacked. I knew that in 16, I knew that in 20, and I knew that in 24. And what's transpired in 25 and 26 has made me feel more correct than ever. So I would never have agreed to that. I don't back this. And many of us don't believe this is a war we should be a part of.
So when I was growing up, the black people in charge of me, mama, daddy, their friends, they would say, give a Negro a rope, he wants to be a cowboy. And that's what I saw there, is like Ryan Clark had a good point, but he wanted to do way too much. He wanted to do all of his commentary on Trump and whatnot.
What was his good point?
His good point was that it's stupid to analogize war to football hits and to put out this video. All the other extra stuff that he said, completely unnecessary, but Trump gave him the rope. And so he's going to do what Negroes do. He's going to play cowboy, and that's what Ryan Clark did. He played cowboy there because Trump gave him the rope. Leave the NFL out of it, and you won't have NFL idiots using it as their jumping off point to make these bigger political points that they're unqualified for.
Okay, so we won't even get the political side of it because, we're not going to talk about Kamala and the 39 soldiers she left there to die in Afghanistan. So we won't even talk about
Hillary
that. Ryan
Clinton.
Clark. No, Kamala did it. But
Joe Biden
she was
did it.
she was vouching for it with Biden. Yeah, she was vouching for it. Who maybe not even been alive. But anyway, so let me ask you this. I disagree with you on your take about the football and the video. Because here's why. I've heard Ryan Clark before say that he is a soldier. I'm a warrior. Really? So now it's a problem. Football has always been associated with war and a combative sport, Jason. Always. I bet you if you call Brian Urlacher right now, he'll tell you that they're warriors and we're soldiers. And all this has been used. We've been using highlight film since I was a baby that associates with war, with battle. My brother's an Air Force fighter pilot who's been in this thing. My dad was an Army tank specialist. My brother was a Marine Corps, a veteran. This is not, nobody's crying about this but Ryan Clark. This reminds me, Jason, of the liberal whites who are mad that the Washington Commanders are now the name and not the Redskins because the Indians want the Redskins to be the name. This is the same thing. We got a guy who played football who was in a soldier warrior sport who's now crying about playing this and mentioning Tropical Thunder. Do you know why this is a problem? Tropical Thunder is an outlet for all the people over there actually in the war. They are all advocates of the movie. They love the comedy of it. This is why we have no more real true comedian stand-up anymore, because you got the hecklers now who either have to call out race, call out insensitive, LGBTQ, and you got comedians now fighting each other, fighting crowds, having extra security, because I've seen over and over in just the last 2 weeks right here in LA at the Laugh Factory Comedy Club that you've been to, I'm sure, have had to escort people out because they're now insensitive and it's racist. Why are you laughing at this guy? This is it. This is ridiculous, man. We've always been soldiers and warriors, and football's always been synonymous. So I don't get it. I think it's way too sensitive. I think we're he's trying to push more cancel culture vultureism, and I think that is a joke. We know what it is. We know the context, Jason. You and I know the context of the video, and I don't understand why.
Here's why I disagree. Let's say the NFL analogizes itself to combat and the armed services, the armed forces. They do the flyovers with the military airplanes and all that. That's the NFL analogizing itself to something more serious. This is the president of the United States and the government analogizing itself to something unserious and trivial. It's a mistake. If I had a son that was in combat or executing these raids where innocent young people, old people are going to get killed, I don't want my government comparing that to football hits. That Trump has a serious position. He can't play by the same rules as these football idiots. He just can't.
But
they have an unsaid. They're entertainers and people that think way too much of themselves. This guy's the president of the United States. He's trivializing. It's just like, I don't even like all the shoot 'em up video games that get people comfortable with just death, kill, violence. It's the president is. It comes across unintentionally that he's promoting just random nihilistic violence. And like it's no big deal and it's no different than football. It's a mistake. And he gave Ryan Clark a platform to do way too much, and Ryan Clark did way too much.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I don't see Ryan Clark protesting on the shooter at Old Dominion last night. I don't see that. I don't see the protest of a guy who was arrested for giving intel to ISIS going in and shooting an American student on an American campus. Where's the leftist outrage? Where's the protest and the agitation? This is becoming a mockery. We are using Donald Trump. Don't play by those rules, Jason. We seem to forget he's not part of that crew of former president's bloodline. He is an outlier. That's why they tried to assassinate him. He's an outlier. That's why they don't like him. Anytime he says something, it resonates with me, Jason, because I'm that guy. I'm the guy. Anytime I say a word, like right now, somebody in the chat is saying, "Shut the hell up, Jason. You don't know what you're talking about, JB." Before I even say the point. And that's what Donald Trump is. They don't want to talk about Donald Trump's results. You don't talk about my results. 300 plus D1 players, 28 NFL guys, 8 Super Bowl champs. Nobody getting arrested after they leave me. Graduation rate higher than any other junior college coach in the history of junior college football. You don't talk about any of that. You don't talk about Donald Trump and how quick he eliminated the Venezuelan threat and how he's attacked Iran for the first president to do so. But yet we have Biden and Obama giving millions and billions of dollars to this same terrorist regime who hates America more than any other country in the world. Fact, not fiction. So he's actually dropped his nuts and said, you know what, I'm going to go to be the guy to do it because I'm not the normal guy. So I'm going to show a football video that correlates battle, warriors, soldiers. I don't understand why we're up in arms, Jason, when NASCAR shows violence every day in their highlight reels. It's very similar on what they do. There's only 2 sports, Jason, that are actual combat sports, not physical. So NBA and baseball and all those other sports, they're just physical sports. NASCAR and football, though, are actually called combat sports because of the violence, because of the rigor, because of what happens after contact. So I see it, and I don't think the world is as mad and in an uproar as you think.
Oh, no, I don't think the world is mad and in an uproar. I do think that the people who have sons and daughters in the military are like, hey, what are we doing? You know, this is a very serious deal. Why are we comparing it to some meaningless, trivial football game?
Let me ask you, is it better than, like my brother points out, that's what the craziness is that we don't get to see and we're not privy to. But this is a fact. In barracks, in our Army and Air Force and Navy barracks, and going through the process to get enlisted, is it better than seeing our men, our to-be soldiers, performing fellatio acts on rubbers and fake penises? You rather have that? I'm just telling you, that's where we are, Jason. I'm being honest here. I know you've taken the spectrum here. I'm just telling you, we have had that extreme, and I don't hear Ryan Clark being so insensitive about it. Like, why aren't we talking about that extreme? But this is now the extreme we want to pick and choose on. We had a Secretary of Defense transgender. We were okay with that, though, right? This is ridiculous, man. I'm be honest. I'm totally opposite of you on this one. I think this is synonymous. It's been this way for my 50 years on Earth. We've always had football and war. It always has gone hand in hand. I don't believe one kid is deterred from being enlisting today because a football video was shown. I think more will be, if anything.
I don't think any kid, if you're going to enlist, you're going to enlist. But I'm just telling, as the president of the United States, let's cut it out. This is more serious. Lives are being lost. Lives are being changed. Civilizations potentially being saved. We're flirting with a world war. I wouldn't want to be the president that is showing Ray Lewis videos when we're on the brink of World War III. It was just like the conversation I just had with TJ and Dre. Sometimes we have an idolatry of hatred. Like, hey, I don't like Ryan Clark. I really don't. And so I look for ways to, expose Ryan Clark? Yes. But when Ryan Clark says something accurate and the right thing, I'm going to applaud him. Yeah. And I'm not going to let my dislike of him control what I think about all of his actions.
I respect it. Yeah, I respect it. We all should respect it. When I say I'm the same way. If you're right, you're right. The right and wrong, by the way, is right and wrong no matter who says it. The truth is the truth no matter who says it. So if somebody that I don't agree with or like says something, I'm going to say it just like you. The problem I have is we voted for this man, Donald Trump, for being who he is, different. We voted for him. The American people spoke out against all the illegal voting and all the other things that we're seeing still currently. And he is damned if he does and damned if he don't. Like, we got to be honest. Like, it doesn't matter. He's never going to be loved by the majority. It's going to be split down the middle because of who he is. He's not controlled by the puppet masters. And that's what people don't like, and that's what people like who voted him in. So we have to take that for what it is, a grain of salt or whatever you want to call it. But if he's going to go do outside the box stuff that we voted him in to do, because that's what we didn't want the old stuff. We wanted this. So now we're bashing him for putting out a video like this. It just, to me, it's kind of like, well, listen, we voted the guy in. You're either supporting the guy all in or you're all out. There's no 1 foot in, 1 foot out on this guy at this
I hate
point.
to go this political, but you've kind of forced me to.
I hear you. And before you cut me off, I'm not with this war thing. I'm just going to tell you right now. And I'm a right conservative, and I'm an American alpha male, and I'm going to be an ass kicker, and my whole family's war. I get it. But I did not vote, and nobody else voted for this man to take us to war. He said we're going to end wars. So you got to call it for what it is as well. I don't believe we should be over there, but I also say, who, if not him, who? Because were we supposed to wait until they did get nukes, to my brother's point, and then say, hey, Obama, thanks for funding it, and then fighting it now? Or are we supposed to wait until the worst thing happens? So proactive rather than reactive, Jason. I'm not against that either. But this whole Israel thing that we operate through what they tell us to do and all that, BS. The more I've heard from my brother and people that are in it, the more I believe that's total BS. We're the world's protectors, Jason. We always have been and always will be, whether you like it or not. We are always Big Brother, and that just is what it is. And listen, I think Trump is playing chess while all you guys are playing checkers. He's letting Israel, because nobody's showing the videos, but I know for a fact that Iran is drubbing Israel until we go help them. And Trump literally waits a few days. If you go notice and go really do some research, he lets Israel get whooped on by Iran all day long. And then all of a sudden, Trump has to go help them out just a little bit. I'm telling you, I think Trump's telling Israel, hey, you'll always need us. Just be careful. I'm telling you right now, a lot of people aren't seeing it. Iran's beating the hell out of Israel without us. So, telling you.
JB, I'm going to move on. Something a little bit more sporty. Marquise Williams.
You didn't know I was this well-rounded, huh? It's all right.
I did.
Go ahead.
I unfortunately, I did know that you were this, well, I don't know, well-rounded. I don't know if I'd call it that, but, you're
I got a couple degrees, man. I'm a hustler. Go ahead.
What are your degrees in? Phys ed?
Kinesiology masters, yeah.
Kinesiology, yeah. That's what a lot of my teammates can. Anyway, let me keep moving. Marquise Williams, former quarterback at the University of North Carolina, puts out an ominous tweet. I will not be attending any UNC football games this year. The things I'm hearing, man, I would have never thought. Heartbreak. This is a former North Carolina quarterback. He's making allegations without making any allegations, in my view, against Bill Belichick. I have no respect for this, JB. If he's not going to come out and say what the problem is, he needs to keep his mouth shut. I'm someone that has gone to war with Ball State University and some of the decisions our school presidents have made. I've never done it under a mysterious. I've always stated publicly what my problem was when we didn't support Papa John Snyder, when he got set up in that scam. I was irate about it, and I publicly stated I don't like the way the president handled this, and that was his last name's Mearns. Other issues for the previous, we had a female president before him. When I had issues with her, I let it all out. I was very transparent about it. I don't respect what Marquise Williams has done here.
You don't respect it because he didn't tell you why? Is that what you're saying? I'm with you.
A vague allegation.
Yeah.
About
so nobody
nothing.
does. What's his name? Marquise?
Yeah. Led him to an 11-3 season. Stuck around and been very involved with the program. This is very disloyal in my opinion. This to me sounds like JB. Bill Belichick didn't kiss his rear end when Bill Belichick met him. He's used to being treated in a certain way. He's a big deal at North Carolina, nowhere else, and wants to have his rear end kissed. And when Bill Belichick didn't do it, now he's gone off the rails and he's seen things he just hadn't seen. Never thought I would see it. I won't be attending any more games. I mean, he's acting like he's Michael Jordan or Lawrence Taylor making this statement.
Yeah, I'm actually talking to a person there right now, trying to get to insight for your show.
You're talking to Jordan Hudson? Is that what you just said?
No, I don't want to talk to her. She's under my age limit. I don't know. I got a couple buddies coaching there right now. I don't know what's this going on. This, what do they call it? Encrypted messages that people do and all this stuff. I don't know what he's saying. I haven't looked into it enough. We were going to do it on my show, but I've been rocking solo without Smitty, so I didn't get to it. But I do have buddies there, and all I know is I've heard the B word. I've heard soft. I've heard some other things. So from other from admin coaches. So I would say that they don't think highly of him there. So
Belichick.
You could be absolutely right on what you're alluding to.
Oh, they don't think highly of Marquise Williams.
Right.
Gotcha.
So he could have been a soft, crybaby, enabled, entitled kid. I don't know. And this is what you're saying is true. I mean, that's just from what I've heard some things. So I could agree. I think you might have hit it on the head. So it could be that. Maybe he was just a guy that's disgruntled, to your point. And I don't believe Belichick's going to kiss anybody's butt. I mean, why? Why would he? Other than the girl.
Yeah. Some guy that, was a, very good North Carolina player is, again, a lot of times when guys start complaining, the first thing I ask is like, have you given any money? Why should the university care? What do you mean? I played and blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah. When you're playing for the school, they owe you. When you're done playing for the school, you owe them. And unless you ante up, no one wants to hear from you about your whiny complaints and did you get treated this way or that way? Did they give you tickets here or there? It's a mentality that guys never get over. Like the university owes them forever, and they don't. And actually, and as upset as I am with Ball State about different things, I owe them. Now, do I think I've paid my debt? Absolutely. But they'll never owe me. I'll always owe them. I don't see why people can't get in that mentality. JB, I'm going to move on to the biggest news.
It's the same thing, Jason. And before you go, I used to say the same thing to my players. Y'all need me. I don't need you. It's real simple. It's really cut and dried. I'm the one that has to vouch to Bill Check, Saban, etc. for your name. You're not getting me a job. I'm getting you a scholarship. I don't need you guys. You need me. That is what it used to be, Jason. Now though, with the NIL and the way it is, I don't think it is that way anymore. I think now the coach needs them to keep up with the Joneses, and that's what it has become, a player empowerment driven league or landscape.
JB, I'm going to move on to the biggest news in the NFL. Kyler Murray has signed a 1-year deal with the Vikings. Kevin O'Connell has the task of reinvigorating Kyler Murray's career. Won't cost the Vikings much. Arizona still owes this guy $36 million. They're getting Kyler Murray for cheap. I've seen a lot of funny memes of Kyler Murray, and but Kyler Murray has a chance to invigorate his NFL career. Work with Justin Jefferson. Hopefully that'll go better than his Marvin Harrison situation. Yeah. But what do you think? What's going to happen here with Kyler Murray?
The mental midget. Here's what's going to happen. This is what's happened to the NFL quarterback landscape, as I've said on your show for 4 years. But what do I know, right? This is what you get. Tua for a league veteran minimum. Kyler Murray, league veteran minimum. Don't be shocked if the next guys are a Davis Mills replacing a CJ in Houston or one of these other run-of-the-mill type of quarterbacks that you do not have to overpay, because we have 70% overpaid under-deliverers at the quarterback position who are the most overpaid. It's egregious how overpaid they are. You just paid a guy 20 months ago in Tua astronomical amounts of money. You just paid this guy $200 million 4 years ago after a, MVP type of season because of the freak athlete that this kid is. Jason, the guy can't play. And this is why I went off on Ryan Clark more than the whole war thing we just discussed. Ryan Clark made this again about race, and he brought up specifically O'Connell. And if he didn't take Kyler Murray, then he's a bust and he's fake and he's not the quarterback guru that he said he is. See how Ryan Clark tried to spin this and put it on O'Connell now to make Kyler Murray the guy. But he didn't put that on anyone else when Kyler Murray was not the guy. Did he say that about Kingsbury when he got fired? Did he say that about, what was it, Haley or whatever that got fired?
Todd Haley?
The coach?
No,
it wasn't Todd Haley. The coach before this Gannon. Did he say that about him before he got fired? The thing is, he is not a fit for this system. I don't know why people think he is. And this is a Sean McVay system. It's a boot naked, boot waggle system, which Kyler can do because you're going to have to get him out of the pocket because of his stature. And he can't see. Kobe Brissett just showed you that. And then you're going to have a guy who has to get the ball out of his hand right now, Jason, to a Justin Jefferson who's going to be doing jumping jacks in the end zone, waiting for the ball. He's going to be reading a book on the sideline like A.J. Brown. These guys get disgruntled this fast when they don't get the ball continuously. Justin Jefferson just had his worst statistical year last year with J.J. McCarthy, who they never should have played. And I can't I can't pray long enough for the demise of an organization more than the Minnesota Vikings. I can't wait for them to flounder because what they did, and I said, why are you getting rid of something you know for sure that just won you 14 games for a guy you drafted 10th overall in J.J. McCarthy, who once had to hand the ball off 35 consecutive times because Jim Harbaugh didn't have the faith in him in college. So you're going to do that with this guy, put him in there, and then Mina Kimes and Dan Orlovsky and Ryan Clark. Yeah, JJ's the guy. He has to be. Get rid of Sam Darnold. It was an anomaly type of season. Yeah, really? Won a Super Bowl. 30 wins in 2 years, more than any other quarterback. But guess what? I can't wait for the demise of this team. Kyler Murray will be gone after next year. You'll be drafting another quarterback because JJ's clearly not the guy. And O'Connell just got himself fired. That is what's happened there in Minnesota. And they just won 9 games, Jason, without a quarterback because their defense is so good and their offensive skilled players are top 3 in the league, and you don't have a guy to get them the ball. You put hubcaps on a Lamborghini, Jason. That is what you've done in Minnesota, similar to what the Niners did with Brock Purdy in Frisco.
I think what Kevin O'Connell is thinking is for 1 year, we're going to basically scrap my offense. And I just want to survive until I can either draft someone else. If I can figure out a way to win 9 games with Kyler Murray running around.
They won 9 last year, Jason.
Well, again, if he wins again 9 games this year, I don't think that they'll get
He's fired.
I don't think he'll get fired.
He's fired. Look at the over-under on the league right now. Green Bay's 10.5. Right now, Vegas. Chicago's 10.5. Detroit's 10, and Minnesota is 9 again. First of all, the math don't math. These 4 teams have to play each other twice. So I don't get the math, number one. Number two, there's no way that this guy holds a job if he misses the playoffs 2 years in a row after winning 14 games just 2 years ago. And the quarterback that they got rid of won a Super Bowl. And if he goes on another run next year,
They should already fire him. They should have fired him. Someone should be like, man, our quarterback we just let go won the Super Bowl. You're fired. That's a fireable.
Well, that's
offense.
a GM move though. That's the GM did get fired. So to Kevin O'Connell's point, he's dealing with the cards he's handed. I think that he's going to have to show, though, that it's either going to be Sean King today thinks JJ's still the starter.
Yeah, I'm aware. He hasn't
deal.
given up on J.J. McCarthy, but I think that's a joke.
Me too.
I don't think J.J.'s an NFL quarterback, but I do think Kyler Murray's a guy that maybe you can get away with for 1 year. Just let him make it up as he goes, and he gets you to next year, and you get to move on from him.
Let me give you macro level on this. Why? How can he live with that mindset as the head coach who won 14 games 2 years ago? You can't, because here's why you can't. If it goes by what your rationale is to draft another guy, you're then starting over again. He cannot sustain that. He can't keep his job that way because you've done that when you lost Sam Darnold and went with J.J. McCarthy, who got hurt in that first year as a rookie. So now you played him last year, got hurt again. So you either draft now and not Kyler Murray, or you brought Kyler Murray in as just a 1 year gap fix backup, and you have to play JJ. See, the thing is, you sit JJ now. So you went like this. Oh, he's good. He gets hurt. He doesn't play. Sam Darnold wins 14. Then I start JJ the next year. He doesn't do good. He's hurt again. And then I bring in Kyler Murray. Or you go with JJ McCarthy, or you draft now, not Kyler Murray. I'm not understanding the entire process here. I think it's setting him up to get fired because you have to start over again, to your point, Jason, and you can't do it. You're going to start with a rookie? You're going to start with a rookie next year? Who are you going to draft? Who are you going to draft? So you're telling me you're going to go after Arch Manning or one of these guys next year and try to move up the draft?
They draft someone this year.
I'm sure they will, but that's my point. You better either ship JJ then. Ship JJ then. Like, I don't understand. It doesn't math up. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense to me that you're wasting Justin Jefferson, height of his career, and you can clearly see he was pissed off last year and missed Sam Darnold. And now you're going to have a guy who cannot get him the ball, Jason. We're missing factual information here. Brissett came into Arizona, and guess who the leading pass catcher last year was? Nakua, right?
Yeah. Who
was second? The tight end in Arizona with Brissett. And they were at Trey McBride. Guess who else became a known commodity now in the NFL? Mark Wilson Jr., a wide receiver that nobody knew about, that Brissett fed and became a fantasy dream every week. And Kyler Murray never even got him the rock. And then Marvin Harrison Jr., we were calling a bust because of this guy at quarterback. Brissett makes and resurrects him overnight. So see the importance of a guy that actually can see and get the ball out of his hand without running around in circles and doing all this ad-lib stuff. The quarterback position matters. And Kevin O'Connell's going to take this mental midget to Minnesota and expect greatness all of a sudden? It doesn't make sense, Jason. I'm not seeing it because Kevin O'Connell knows better. And I think it's a force feed from upper management to get Kyler Murray because he's the big name on the board. I don't believe it's a fit for Kevin O'Connell. It does not fit his system whatsoever. It's the same system as Shanahan and McVay. It's very similar. You got to get the ball out quick. Now you're asking him to change his offense and run triple option? Doesn't make sense. And run triple option in RPO with Justin Jefferson sitting out there disgruntled and see how long this thing lasts. O'Connell might be fired week 8.
JB, I gotta go.
I know you don't like the truth. I know you don't like hard facts. Your audience.
I don't mind. We're playing videos of Kyler Murray going through the handshake line and all.
They're killing him. I think I'm part of the problem because Mental Midget I started in 22 and they don't like me.
Anyway, JB, thank you. Have a great weekend. I got to keep it moving. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. Give me 17 minutes. We'll be on the Harmony channel straight up at noon with Pastor Jeremiah Johnston. He's got a new book out, Jesus Discoveries. He's in town, and so I wanted to have a word with him about his new book, talk a little about the Shroud of Turin. So head on over to the Harmony channel. I'll see you there straight up at noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.